The chains of the past long ago, humans were not free. They were slaves to alien empires. Powerful and cruel aliens ruled over them. Humans were weak in their eyes. They took everything from humans: their homes, their freedom, and their hope. The aliens made humans work hard in harsh places. Humans lived in fear every day. They were beaten, ignored, and treated like nothing. No one cared about their dreams or their pain. The story begins with a young man named Jalen. He was born on a small mining planet deep inside the alien empire. The planet was cold and dark. The air was full of dust and poison. Every day, Jalen worked in the mines. He dug for precious metals that the aliens wanted. His hands were rough and his body was tired. But his spirit was not broken. Jalen had heard stories from his grandmother. She told him about Earth, the old home of humans, a place full of blue skies, green forests, and wide oceans. A place where humans once lived free and proud. But the aliens had taken that away long ago. Now humans were spread across the galaxy, slaves to many alien masters. One night, after a long day of work, Jalen sat outside his small hut. He looked at the stars shining above. The stars reminded him of hope. He dreamed of freedom, but he also knew how dangerous it was to dream. The alien guards watched closely for anyone who dared to think of rebellion. Any sign of hope was crushed fast. Jalen's best friend, Mira, was different. She did not accept this life. She was angry at the aliens for treating humans like slaves. Mira secretly gathered stories of resistance from other planets. She believed humans had the power to fight back, if only they could unite. Jalen was not sure if he could risk everything, but Mira's fire was hard to ignore. One day, while working in the mines, Jalen found a strange device buried in the dirt. It was old and covered in alien symbols, but it seemed powerful. Jalen showed it to Mira. They both felt a strange energy from it. Mira believed it was a message from humans who fought long ago, a call to remember their strength. Meanwhile, the alien rulers were growing stronger. They feared the humans might rise again. They sent soldiers to the mining planet to tighten control. The people were scared. They knew punishment would be harsh for any sign of rebellion, but deep inside, a small flame of courage began to grow in Jalen's heart. That night, Jalen had a dream. He saw his grandmother, standing tall and proud on Earth. She told him, "We were never meant to be slaves. Our spirit is stronger than their chains." Jalen woke up with a new feeling. He was ready to fight, even if it meant great danger. He told Mira, "We must find others like us. We must start something big." The next morning, Jalen and Mira secretly met with other humans who felt the same way. They shared stories and plans. They knew they could not fight alone. They needed to be smart and patient. Their first step was to spread hope quietly, like a hidden fire. If the aliens found out too soon, they would destroy everything. The story shows how humans lived, in the shadows of fear, but still kept a spark of hope. The chains of the past were heavy, but the human spirit was heavier. Jalen and Mira's journey had just begun. They did not yet know how far they would go or what dangers awaited them. But one thing was clear. Humans were no longer willing to stay silent. This is the start of a new chapter. The start of a fight to burn the old legacy of slavery. The start of a fight for freedom, for dignity, and for the right to be proud humans again. The secret fire ignites after the first spark of hope lit up in Jalen's heart. Something began to change among the humans living under alien rule. The fear that had once crushed their spirits started to fade, replaced by a quiet fire burning deep inside them. This was not a fire the aliens could see. It was hidden, secret, and dangerous. Jalen and Mira became the silent leaders of this new hope. They moved carefully, speaking only in whispers, meeting only in hidden places. They shared stories of old human heroes, stories the aliens had tried to erase. Every story reminded them that humans were not weak. They were survivors. They were fighters. On a distant moon, other groups of humans felt this same fire. They had also suffered under cruel alien masters. Some were slaves in factories, some were prisoners in dark cells. But now they talked about rebellion, quietly at first, then with growing confidence. A wave was building. A wave the aliens did not expect. One day, Jalen received a secret message from a faraway planet. It was from a human named Kayla, who led a small but fierce group of rebels. She wrote, "The time is coming. We cannot stay hidden much longer. We must stand together or we will fall alone." Jalen knew this was the moment. The fire was ready to burn bright, but they had to be smart. The aliens were powerful and many. A direct fight now would be suicide. So Jalen and Mira planned to strike where the aliens were weak, in their pride and control. Mira found a way to hack into the alien communication system. With this, they could send secret signals to humans across planets. They started spreading messages of hope and resistance. The words were simple but strong. "We are not slaves. We are free inside. We will rise." As the messages spread, humans began to change. Some stopped working on alien projects. Some refused orders quietly. Some helped hide others from alien patrols. Small acts, but each one was a crack in the aliens' control. The aliens noticed these changes. Their leaders held meetings, confused and angry. They sent more soldiers and spies. But the fire inside humans could not be put out easily. It grew, stronger with every new supporter. One night, Jalen stood on a hill looking at the stars. He thought about Earth, the home they lost, and about the future they wanted. He felt the weight of the fight ahead, but also the strength of the fire inside him. This was not just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight for honor, for history, and for the soul of humanity. The secret fire had ignited. Now it was time to see how far it could spread. The first strike, the secret fire of hope, had grown into a steady flame. Now the humans knew they could no longer wait in the shadows. The time had come to act, to show the galaxy that the slaves were awake, and they were ready to fight back. Jalen and Mira, along with their hidden allies, planned their first strike carefully. They chose a small supply station on the edge of the alien empire. It was lightly guarded but critical. If destroyed, it would send a strong message without risking many lives. The night before the strike, the group gathered in a hidden cave. Everyone was nervous but determined. Jalen looked at each face, simple people, tired but full of courage. They were ready to change history. As darkness fell, the team moved silently toward the station. They used stolen alien technology to avoid detection. Mira hacked the security systems to open gates and disable cameras. The humans worked together with quiet precision. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to reclaim their honor. The explosion that followed was loud and clear across the nearby planets. Alien patrols rushed to the scene, shocked to find the station in ruins. For the first time, the aliens realized that humans were no longer afraid. News of the strike spread quickly. Some humans cheered in secret, feeling hope for the first time. But the aliens grew furious. They sent stronger forces to hunt down the rebels. The war had officially begun. But the humans did not stop. They knew this was only the beginning. The first strike was proof that even in chains they had power. The slaves were fighting back and the galaxy was watching. Jalen and Mira returned to their hideout, tired but proud. The risk was great, but the reward was greater. The legacy of slavery was starting to burn. The humans were no longer shadows, they were rising flames. The flames spread. The first strike was only the beginning. What started as a small act of defiance quickly turned into a wildfire. News of the humans' courage spread like sparks carried on the wind, igniting hope in the hearts of many who had long suffered in silence. Across the galaxy, humans who once believed they were broken began to rise. In hidden corners of alien worlds, secret meetings multiplied. Quiet resistance became bold rebellion. Factories slowed, supply lines faltered, and alien authorities found themselves struggling to hold control. The aliens, shocked and angry, sent reinforcements everywhere. Their fleets patrolled planets with greater force. They hunted the rebels relentlessly, but the flames of rebellion were too strong. Every attempt to crush it only made it grow. Jalen and Mira watched as the movement they helped spark spread far, beyond what they had imagined. They communicated with other rebel leaders through secret channels. Together they planned bigger strikes, hitting key alien outposts, sabotaging weapon factories, and freeing prisoners. But it was not just war. The humans reclaimed their pride. They painted symbols of freedom on walls. They sang old songs from Earth. They reminded each other that their spirit could never be chained. The aliens tried to silence these acts, but the people's voices only grew louder. Even some aliens began to question their rulers, unsure if they could stop this rising force. Jalen knew the battle would be long and hard. The flames had spread too far to put out easily, but he believed that as long as the fire burned inside the humans, no empire, no matter how strong, could hold them down. The galaxy was changing. The old legacy was cracking and burning. The time of slaves was ending. The time of free humans was just beginning. The lost allies. As the flames of rebellion spread across the galaxy, Jalen and Mira realized that humans could not win this fight alone. The alien empires were vast and powerful, and their armies seemed endless. To break free, humans needed allies, unexpected ones who also longed for change. Far from the mining planet, on a remote world ruled by a cruel alien overlord, a group of rebels fought for their own freedom. These aliens, once loyal to their empire, had grown tired of endless war and oppression. They saw in the humans a hope for a better future, one where no being would be a slave. Jalen sent messages to these rebel aliens, offering friendship and alliance. At first, there was doubt and fear. Could they trust former enemies? But when the aliens saw the humans' courage and sincerity, they agreed to join the fight. Together, humans and alien rebels planned new attacks against their common oppressors. They shared weapons, knowledge, and safe places to hide. This new unity made their forces stronger than ever before. But trust was not easy. Old wounds and suspicion sometimes slowed their progress. Jalen and Mira worked hard to build understanding, reminding everyone that their true enemy was slavery itself, not each other. Meanwhile, the alien empires grew desperate. They launched brutal raids trying to break the alliance. But humans and their new allies stood firm, fighting side by side with fierce determination. The lost allies gave the rebellion hope and strength. For the first time, humans were not alone in their struggle. Together, they dreamed of a galaxy where every being was free to live without fear. Jalen looked to the stars with a renewed spirit. The battle was far from over, but with friendship and courage, he believed they could burn the old legacy to the ground once and for all. The final confrontation. The galaxy had changed. What once was a quiet, hidden rebellion had grown into a force powerful enough to challenge the mighty alien empires. Humans, along with their lost allies, stood ready for the battle that would decide their future, the final confrontation. Jalen and Mira led the united forces to the heart of the enemy's territory. The alien empires gathered their fleets, preparing for war like never before. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as two great powers faced each other in the cold silence of space. The humans knew the risks. This fight was not just for survival, it was for freedom, dignity, and the chance to build a new world. Every soldier felt the weight of their ancestors' chains and the hope of a future without them. The battle began with fierce clashes of ships and weapons. Explosions lit up the darkness, and the screams of war echoed across the void. But humans fought with something the aliens did not expect, a fierce, unbreakable spirit born from years of pain and hope. Jalen commanded his fleet with skill and courage. He took risks others would not dare. Mira's hacking skills disabled enemy defenses at critical moments. The lost allies fought bravely, showing that even former enemies could become brothers and sisters in arms. As the war raged, the tides slowly turned. The alien empires began to falter under the united human force. One by one, their strongholds fell. The legacy of slavery began to crumble. But victory was not without cost. Many brave fighters fell and sacrifices were made. Yet with every loss, the humans grew stronger in their resolve. They knew that freedom was worth any price. Finally, after a long and brutal battle, the alien empires surrendered. The chains that once bound humanity shattered like glass. The stars shone brighter, welcoming a new era. Jalen looked out into the endless sky, feeling both relief and sadness. The fight was over, but the work to build a new future had just begun. Legacy. In ashes, the war was over. The alien empires had fallen, their mighty fleets reduced to silence. Humans stood free, but the galaxy they inherited was not the one they had dreamed of. The legacy of centuries of slavery lay in ashes. Cities destroyed, worlds scarred, and countless lives lost. Jalen walked through the ruins of what was once a grand alien capital. The air was thick with smoke and memories. Every shattered building told a story of pain and resistance. Yet, amid the destruction, he saw something new. The first signs of hope. Humans and their allies began the slow, hard work of rebuilding. They cleared rubble, healed wounds, and forged new bonds. The past could not be forgotten, but it would not define their future. Together, they would create a galaxy where no one would ever be a slave again. But freedom brought its own challenges. Old fears lingered, and some questioned if humans were ready for peace. Could they govern themselves without becoming the very thing they had fought against? Would the new leaders protect justice, or would power corrupt them? Jalen knew these questions had no easy answers. The fight for freedom was only the first step. Now they had to learn to live in that freedom, to build a legacy not of ashes but of light. In quiet moments, Jalen remembered the chains that once bound them. He thought of the countless souls who had suffered and fought before him. Their sacrifices were the foundation of this new world. As the sun rose over the healing galaxy, Jalen felt a fierce pride. They had burned the old legacy to the ground, not just to destroy, but to make way for something better. Humanity's story was far from over. It was a story of strength, hope, and endless possibility.